the room. That's my mother. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, there's Dee. Hi. Shabbat Shalom, Dee. I think I owe you an email, actually. I tried to find the sermon, so I'm still working on that. I don't know why they're not up yet. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi. Yes, of course. Hi, Andy. Shabbat Shalom. Jerry, wonderful to have you with us.
I'll be back in a minute.
No problem. We're going to just welcome everyone with some singing. Do a little bit of warm up for Shabbat. Thought we might start with a little bit of oh, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? Well, in a minute I'm going to start us on Facebook, but before we do that, I think it's just a nice time to sing a little bit. Maybe we can start with a nigun. How about that? We refer to this lovingly as a snapping and clapping nigun, the snap clap nigun. So if you'd like to join with me, please do make sure you're on mute, but even so, let's try to join our voices together. You can start by snapping your fingers if you'd like to, or just sing along. Ya la la la. Clap your hands if you'd like to. We switch to the clapping part. Ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom. It is so wonderful to have you all with us here. You know, it is probably on many of our minds that this was to be the first Shabbat experience where many of us would be together at Goldman Union Camp. Some of you are probably tired of hearing about this, but I will tell you that in many of our homes it is an ongoing topic of conversation. That camp, that sacred place, not only for our children, by the way, it is also a sacred place for many of those who grew up there, was not able to have camp this summer. So we are thinking about it as we walk down the street. We are thinking about it as we watch the trees blowing in the wind, especially those of us who are in Indianapolis, because we know that not so far away, those trees that we remember so vividly are there blowing the wind without us there, that Shabbat has arrived at Golden Union Camp without us there. So in that spirit, I thought we would do a few of the melodies that are more traditional that we do at camp. This is one, of course, that we have sung many times here as well. Imagine us all crowding into a little bit overheated. It's 95 degrees outside, so today it would definitely be a very overheated dining hall, the Chadar Ochel, welcoming Shabbat with singing and dancing. The Jewish people, wherever they are, wherever they gather on this beautiful night of Shabbat, that they experience joy, light, laughter, that they are in touch with those most precious gifts that even as we are separated are still so present in our lives. La Yehudim Haita Ora, Simcha, Sason, Vikar. For our ancestors, these have always been the blessings that we have held so precious. May they be ours again. Kain Tihya Lanu, may these also be our blessing. La Yehudim Haita Ora, V'simcha v'sason v'ikar. Try that with me. La Yehudim Haita Ora, V'simcha v'sason v'ikar. Ken tihye lanu, וששון יקר. One more song before we begin. Remembering that I promised my daughter we would do this one, perhaps a favorite from camp. The words here very simply mean the whole world can feel sometimes like a very narrow bridge. The important thing for all of us to remember is not to be afraid. Before we begin this one, perhaps I'll pause for just a moment and begin our Facebook feed so that we can welcome friends who are joining us there. Here we go. Want to spread Shabbat far and wide, and also this allows us to record immediately on the internet the service, so those of you who missed a part, who are desperate to find out what it was you missed, can immediately go on Facebook and the IHC page and connect there. One thing I've noticed is that several of our congregants, perhaps 6:15 is not the best time, and so they tune in immediately after the service. If I start what's called a watch party on Facebook, we know that there are dozens of congregants who join then. Perhaps it's some of you who want to experience the service again. Anyway, I think that we're live on Facebook now, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this service with these words: Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. Gesher tsar me'od. Gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. Gesher tsar me'od. V'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo lefachek klal. V'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo lefachek klal. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la. The whole wide world, it's a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. The whole wide world, it's a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. But the main thing to recall is to have no fear at all. But the main thing to recall is to have no fear at all. La 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 la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, ya la la la, la la la, la la. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Appreciate the clapping, we appreciate the singing along. We also appreciate the opportunity to gather. It has been our custom now to celebrate, to observe the passing of the time in a number of ways. Many of you have said that even just tuning in every week, making sure that you're here online with us for Shabbat, helps to put order into the days. This week is another special reason to celebrate. It's the beginning of a new Hebrew month. And so to welcome us to the month of Sivan, I'd like to welcome Elise Chavalis. Shabbat Shalom to you and to Kurt. Let's make sure that you get unmuted. There we go. Shabbat Shalom, Elise.
Shabbat Shalom to you, Rabbi, and everybody joining us this evening. As Rabbi Brett said, that tonight is Rosh Chodesh, and this month is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. It's a month of heat, as today demonstrates, bright sun and long days. It coincides with the summer solstice, which is tomorrow, June 20th. There are some tough things about Tammuz. In the coming month, we'll remember the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem. We'll enter into the 3-week period called Bein HaMitzarim, or Between the Narrow Straits. We prepare ourselves to mourn the fallen temple and the broken world on the annual fast day of Tisha B'Av. We realize spring is ending. We remember how different the celebration of Pesach, the Omer, Shavuot, and Memorial Day were this year. We remember everything which has unfolded the past few months. The stories of racism and protests, and those stories that detail today's pandemic, have had a huge impact on our mental and emotional state at IHC, at home, at work, and at play. We try to release spring so that we can enter wholly into summer. We try to understand that as Jews, we see the Torah as a living God-inspired document that enables us to confront the constant timely challenges of our everyday lives. And we believe that Judaism changes and adapts to the needs of the day to survive and help us prosper. As Rabbi Brett mentioned last Shabbat, today is another holiday. Today, African Americans mark Juneteenth, a holiday commemorating the freedom of their ancestors from slavery in the South. For the Jews of America, celebrating civic holidays has come to be a sign of pride and patriotism. This charge has also seen the Jewish community commit itself to social justice and activism alongside the Black community. The Jewish community must be involved, not simply because it is the right thing to do, but because our very future is bound up in it too. The Jewish community must stand next to the Black Jews in our midst and shoulder to shoulder with the broader Black community. Commit yourselves to acts of social justice that will dismantle systematic inequalities in America. This and more, our moral tradition compels us to do. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for that reminder. We enter the month of Sivan, and the seasons begin to turn. We also recall the way that our ancestors' story, the narrative of the Exodus from Egypt, has been used countless times in countless ways to express a greater longing that Jews bring into the world, that we share with all, the longing that all might be free. L'chu neranana, come with me, let us sing and rejoice as we welcome the Shabbat. L'chu neranana. to hear God's voice. Lechuneranena, la 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 la, la Adonai, la 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 la, Maria, ya la 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 la, Tzuri Shenu, ya la 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 la. Together we take a deep breath in of Shabbat wonder, Shabbat joy, the community that is IHC that sustains us so that we might turn around and sustain one another. Come with me. Let us create Shabbat together. Let us welcome the Sabbath bride. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.
Shabbat Shalom. What makes this night different from all other nights? No, I did not miss Passover. I promise I'm well aware of the fact that we are well into June. But Rabbi Brett and I and Rabbi Roxanne and the whole clergy team, we've been having conversations about how to make this night different from all other nights. What can we do to change our space, to perhaps change our pace, and make it feel like a different session than zooming into a meeting or zooming in for work? So what about your place and your evening is different and special? This evening, you'll notice that Rabbi Brett and I have both decided to wear our talitot. For the first time in quite some time, we decided that just because we're not in our physical space doesn't mean that we are not leading prayer, and that we would both feel a little more comfortable wearing our talitot. As we continue to move through this season, and as we move through these beautiful Shabbatot on beautiful evenings with incredible weather, we invite you to ask yourselves, and perhaps ask the family who celebrates with you, what could mark this evening? What could make Shabbat feel a little bit different? Maybe it's a freshly baked challah from your oven, or maybe it is something as simple as putting on a pendant or a talit or something that's meaningful to you. But we know that doing these things and perhaps dressing differently or bringing our sacred space into our homes allows us to shed light on the idea of Shabbat, and allows us to guard and protect and remember Shabbat. The candles of Shabbat are often regarded as shamor v'zachor. We are commanded to guard and remember Shabbat. It is in this moment that I would like to invite you, if you have candles with you, to please join me in lighting our Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של Shabbat. Our tradition teaches us that it is with the lighting of these candles that we create a separation, a Havdalah of sorts, and that we have officially entered into Shabbat. Now that we've entered into Shabbat together, I invite you to raise a glass with me so that we can bless the sweetness that is this time together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim, to life, to good health. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Cantor. As we transition now into the liturgy of our service, I have been thinking about the Shema this week. And so in Nefesh style, I offer this reading as we begin. Shema Yisrael, listen, O children of Israel. See, prayer does not only move in one direction, the longings of your heart and mind reaching upwards and outwards to hit their target, but rather prayer reaches into our souls as well when we open ourselves to it. A calling from outside of ourselves. And when we find sanctuary together, the loudest calling we can hear is the voice of those around us. We can close our eyes, and many voices around us come into sharper focus. A hum that fills our ears. Shema Yisrael, listen. Can you hear the children of Israel? Those receivers of the legacy of Jacob, Israel. Jacob, who saw a vision of angels, who wrestled with his family, and who came to understand that God was in this place, and it was me. I did not know. Prayer moves towards us in every moment and all the time. And we recite this line in unison, imagining our voices and our prayers mingling together, finding strength from one another. We join together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. In our prayer book, we find this reading about the Shema, perhaps reminding us what it means to pray. Existence, writes Martin Buber, remains meaningless for us if we ourselves do not penetrate into it with active love, and if we do not in this way discover its meaning for ourselves in life. Everything is waiting to be hallowed by us. It is waiting to be disclosed in its meaning, to be realized in it by us, by our actions. For the sake of this was the world created. Meet the world with the fullness of our being, and we meet God. If we wish to believe, than love. For one who loves brings God into the world, brings God and the world together.
In 1996, Christina Kay became the author of the official Juneteenth poem entitled We Rose. From Africa's heart, we rose. Already a people, our faces ebon, our bodies lean, we rose. Skills of art, life, beauty, and family crushed by forces we knew nothing of, we rose. Survive we must. We did. We rose. We rose to be you. We rose to be me. Above everything expected, we rose. To become the knowledge we never knew. We rose. Dream, we did. Act, we must. The last line of her stunning poem harkens to what we at IHC hold so dear and what the Jewish faith teaches us, that act we must. And we do, and we are proud to. And so we reach the point in our liturgy where we remember our own struggle for freedom. And we remember the Israelites crossing the sea. Act we must. Micha mocha bailim Adonai, Mika mocha nedar bahodesh nora Tehilot Osei Fele Nora Tehilot Osei Fele Malechutecha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Eli, anu ve'amiru, Adonai imloch leholam va'ed, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chayim Hashkivenu shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu
we reach the point in our service where I invite you to offer the prayers of your heart. We pray that we as a community will grow stronger through these difficult times. And we pray that as allies to the Black community on this day of Juneteenth, that we will learn from their struggles and help in creating a better world, a more just world for all of us. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. We pause for a moment of silent prayer. It is in this moment that we also call to mind all of those in our lives and in our communities in need of healing, whether it be physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. We do invite you to share their names with us in the chat at the bottom of your screen so that I may read their names aloud so that we can all pray together. As a community this evening, we think of Selma Hurwitz, Marion Garmel, Cindy Merrill, Gary David Friedman, Sharon Foyer, and Gwynnie, granddaughter of Harriet Castor. Additionally, I will read the names that you are praying for this evening that you have shared with us, and I apologize in advance if any of the pronunciations are incorrect. We pray for Dodie Cowan, Roger Tomolian, Dennis Gelbart, Jim Fleischer, Jill Ross, Joanne Hamill, Matt Cohen, Jack Bronicky, Alan Witchy, Eileen Goldberg, Ernie Plasek, Pamela Harris Kaiser, Bruce Yoakum, Kelsey Condor, Scott and Pa, Javi Lev Goldstein, Zach and Mike Berman, Barbara Shapiro, Jay Rahim and Dallas, Nancy Bonham, Scott and Pamela Strawn, Andy Weidekamp, Deb Bykowski and Harvey Katz, Richard Warr, Beth Ann Hancock, Jean Lee, Richard Watko, Marla Topiel, Linda Cohen, Evan Sachs, Sherry Bloom, Ruth Weisberg, and Larry Weisberg. We pray that they find healing and a complete renewal of body and spirit. Mi shebeirach avoteinu Avraham בית החולים. אל נא רפנה, אל נא רפנה לה, אל נא רפנה, אל נא רפנה לה.
We pray that God hears not only the words that we utter out loud, but also those prayers that remain hidden deep inside, those prayers that we pray to no one else, that we may not know how to let outside. Those are prayers too, and we pray that God might hear them, give us the strength to answer them. It is wonderful to see all of you. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us. I have noticed in the last several weeks that we have been away from our Torah. It feels like for a long time. The sages used to teach that we shouldn't go more than 3 days without reading from a scroll because it is life-giving, like water, which we cannot survive without for even 3 days. That's the traditional reason why congregations read from the Torah not only on Saturdays, on Shabbat, but also Mondays and Thursdays in the morning. Now, some of us study the text more frequently, gathering each week on Shabbos morning or during the week. Some are even following the 7-year cycle of reading the entire Talmud, which just began again a few months ago. But we as a congregation, we have been away from our scrolls for too long, especially here at Shabbat. And so this week, we read in the Torah, Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Shalach lecha anashim, Vayaturu et haaretz Canaan, et eretz Canaan, asher ani noten livnei Yisrael. God spoke to Moses, saying, send forth people to scout the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. And the text continues, so at God's command, Moses sent them out from the desert of Paran. Strange, considering how at the end of his life, Moses portrays the scene in a very different way. Quote, then all of you came to me, Moses said, and let us send people ahead of us to scout the land and to bring back a report about which route we should take and the towns that we will come to. Moses continues, taking credit, I notice. The idea, he said, seemed good to me, so I selected 12 of you, and you went. So which is it, Moses? Were your newly minted, freed Israelite slaves so filled with awe at the prospect of establishing a new society in the promised land that they were a little weak in the knees? Perhaps they hesitated and only continued their journey because of the 2 brave spies, Joshua and Caleb, who brought back good reports? Or did God command the endeavor, knowing that this large band of rebels would need some sort of game plan in order to move forward? And why, Moses, do you insist on taking credit for God's work so often? I am sure one day that's going to get you in trouble. Well, commentaries point out something else. They use this contradiction about who ordered the spies, why they went, to point out something important about human nature. It was true thousands of years ago, and it is just as true today. The people of Israel, they argue, came to Moses with this request. Please, Moses, help us. Help us conquer our fear. We are intimidated by our own place in history. We are uncertain if we have what it takes to succeed. And then perhaps Moses asks God what he should do. And God gives Moses permission to send the spies. In this interpretation, God didn't actually command the spies. God merely did not oppose them. In the Talmud we read, Where a person wants to go, that is where they are led. God sets out a path for us, but God gives us freedom as well, and that includes the freedom to make mistakes. This is also the reason, say the commentaries, why God perhaps did not lead the Israelites on the straightest path through the desert, but instead forced them to wander around for an entire generation of 40 years. Maimonides writes, this is the 12th century, in his book he called The Guide for the Perplexed. It is a well-known fact, he writes, that traveling through the wilderness without physical comfort, it produces courage in us, while the opposite makes us weak. Another generation was needed to rise up, one that was unaccustomed to degradation and slavery. In other words, he says, freedom, it takes time, and there are no shortcuts. Staying focused on the larger goal, in fact, the largest goal, it leads us through the struggles and the conflict that we find in the wilderness of life. And when we lose sight of that goal, or we imagine that goal to be impossible, it becomes very easy to lose our way. This is why our support now for the Black Lives Matter movement and our intention to honor Juneteenth on this Shabbat, and last week and the week before that and the week before that as well, they all stem from our Jewish values. Because the only way to advocate for the rights of the minority Jewish population is if we advocate for the rights of every minority population. Whether we define ourselves and our community by the color of our skin, the countries that our ancestors once called home, or even our gender or sexual identity. The world that we fight for, the world that we work for, is one in which diversity is celebrated. As the Jews walked across the desert, that's what they discussed. It is a world in which hate speech and hate crimes are met with swift justice. That is in the Torah. That is the journey that the Israelites are on. Make no mistake, this is why we even now are still in the desert. We are searching not only for a safe haven for our own people, but we are searching for an entirely different kind of society based on values that we sometimes dismiss as naive. The values of liberty, of kindness, of compassion, of empathy. The ideal, as expressed in Torah, of one law for citizen and stranger alike. A commitment that the Torah shows to mercy as we strive to understand God's grace as taught to us through this sacred text. This is why every year we begin the Passover Seder with the words, "Now we are slaves, next year may we be free." The truth is that not many of us know the bitter taste of slavery, of bias, of degradation, of oppression, as anything other than a slice of horseradish on a very dry cracker. But some of us do. And many people in the world right now cannot leave their homes without carrying those burdens with them every day and in every way. Their journey is our journey. We cross the desert together. I have always loved a single word in this week's Torah portion. In truth, no one knows exactly how to translate it. The text does not actually say that Moses and the Israelites should send spies to the land. Instead, it says, Shlach lecha. It almost could be translated as, send spies to yourself to scout that land which is your inheritance. Shlach lecha is the full name of the Torah portion. It's the full phrase that God commands us. That same phrase appears in the story of Abraham, who leaves his father's home with the words Lech lecha, not only to search out the same promised land, but also to find himself. Go to yourself, Abraham. Go find yourself in the journey. The Israelites slowly make their way from one extreme to another, from the foot of the Pharaoh to the foot of Mount Sinai. And what they discover is that freedom, it lies within. They complain, they argue, they worry about where their next meal is going to come from. Fear is the natural human reaction to the possibility of a journey and of real growth. Anything worth doing is going to be hard to do. And God is asking us to take this journey. God is asking us to grow. God is calling us even now to be the ones who move this world we live in a notch closer to the ideal, to a utopia, to a vision of a world redeemed, towards redemption ourselves. Because if we can succeed in seeing the slavery in ourselves today, the ways that we get stuck in unhealthy patterns of thinking or in unhealthy relationships or in the well-worn ruts that have come to define long-standing behaviors that no longer serve us, if we can succeed in realizing the ways in which we are slaves today, then maybe we will be able to take the first steps away from those behaviors, those attitudes, those thoughts, and move life actually in a different direction. Freedom only comes by taking one step at a time. The truth is, our country even, it's only a couple hundred years old. The journey is nowhere near complete for us. As the joke reminds us, it takes one moment to get the Israelites out of Egypt. It takes a lifetime to get the Egypt out of the Israelites. And so we return to this text at least once every 3 days to recalibrate our own moral compass, to reinvigorate our commitment, to remind ourselves not to lose sight of that the largest goal, that you and I can change ourselves and that you and I can change the world. As Jews and as human beings, we simply cannot settle for anything less. Shabbat Shalom. It's a pleasure to call one of our wonderful volunteers who has been a regular with us for study, who is always willing to lend a hand and shows great leadership in that respect. Ann Shepard, Shabbat Shalom to you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's nice to see everyone tonight celebrating Shabbat from their favorite places in their homes and with an occasional furry family member filling the screen. It always gives me joy to see everyone participating. My greetings are coming from Fishers, and I'd like to thank Rabbi Brett and Cantor Aviva for giving us and sharing words and melodies with us that calm our souls, lift our spirits, and give us the courage to act on our values. These are unsettling but exciting times of change, and I'm glad that IHC can be part of it. We can continue our journey in being part of it and being part of our community by engaging in the activities that are coming up the next week. Tomorrow there's Torah study. On Wednesday, there is Torah talk. There's coffee with clergy on Thursday. I assume that was a very interesting talk with Rabbi Roxanne on Thursday. And Tot Shabbat returns on next Friday. You can check your email, IHC website, Facebook, and even Instagram for details or updates on any of these programs. While we're not together in person, your IHC community is just a click away. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Ann. It's wonderful to have you with us, and we appreciate those thoughts from the community. There are certainly many ways to feel connected. Hopefully you are reaching out in addition to the programs that we offer. We also don't mind picking up the phone and just checking in with you. So please do feel free to take us up on that. Our entire staff and the clergy, we want to feel connected as well. Is that point in our service where we turn our thoughts to those who we have lost in recent days, to those whose yahrzeits occurred this week, the anniversary of their passing, and for all those in our community and beyond whose loss is a great loss to the community and to the world. On this Shabbat, we especially are calling to mind the memory of June Herman, who we just lost on the last day. And we add, and her funeral will be on Monday when we will join together to say Kaddish for her next week. We also add to her name those who our congregational friends and family members have lost in the last month. We remember Ellen Phillips, Ben Goldberg, and Robert Rubin. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occurred this week, the anniversary of their passing, and I invite you to also add the names of your loved ones who you are remembering to our chat so that I can read those aloud as well. On the Shabbat, we remember Ray Berman, Eldon Berridge, Armin Bogar, Rochelle Boonshaft, Leopold Breisecker, Eddie Brown, Anna Broxmeyer, Morris Bernstein, Henry Butterman, Ruth Cannon, Vivian Chernoff, Stanley Cohen, Rosalie Cohen, Dorothy Ephraimson, Florence Mimi Goldberg, Raquel Greenspoon, Samuel Gurwitz, Alan Halpern, Nathan Hotman, Phyllis Hicks, Debbie Irwin Chalfie, Nanette Kahn, Lucy Kahn, Mac Lawson, Eunice Manders, Doris Marmis Solomon, Joseph Melman, Bertha Melman, Brenda Messing, Nathan Miller, Herbert Miller, Leon Michelot, Fanny Mossler, Donald Naughton, Hyman Perlman, Judith Perk, Bobby Pop, Laura Rosenberg, Tilly Rosenberg, Dora Rosenberg, Reuben Roth, Mona Schmuddy, Ethel Siegel, Beatrice Sobel, Robert Spiker, Charles Spiegel, Dennis Diasny, N. Sugarman, Ida Tulkup, Eleanor Vaprin, Lauren Venkis, Louis Wender, Josephine Wertzman. We also remember names from our chat: Mark Wagman, Margaret Marcone, first year of mourning, Brad Breitner, and Ruthie Cannon. Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories be always for blessing. We join together in the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shmei dekudsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru Amen. In addition to a prayer for peace for our people, the Jewish people, we of course add a prayer for peace, for remembrance, for all who dwell on earth with the words, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and invite you once again, say with us, Amen. Amen.
I invite you to sing with me from right where you are. Please raise your voices with me as we join together. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, Adonai is my strength and my might. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayehi li
Thank you so much, Cantor, for that. God is certainly our strength in this moment. And thank you for your beautiful singing. It's a pleasure to lead Nefesh Shabbat with you today. And I do want to mention that we need to relook at how we are connecting all of you with a prayer book. When we first started doing this, we posted a link to a free flip book version of Mishkan, our prayer book, Mishkan. So we are happy to do that again. And that way, if you can keep us on the screen and also have the words on the screen. And we are in the process of creating some other materials as well. If you have a challah, this is a wonderful time for us to break bread together. And we hope to see you with your own freshly baked challah. Hi, you coming in? Sierra wants to come and show us the challah that she made. Shabbat Shalom, Sierra. This I think is chocolate chip this week.
I think so.
All right, so we'll get a hand on the challah. The secret is that this is an opportunity to bless our children, not only the challah bread. So if you've got kids with you there, you can bring them up close and we'll offer them a blessing as well. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Chaim. You gonna tear off some? Oh, it's a good piece with lots of chocolate chips. Sarah, may you experience the blessings of all of our ancestors. Have a great week. May you know that there are lots of adults who recognize that it's kind of a big bummer to be in quarantine, and that we are all feeling like we want to reach out and be connected, and we want to see our kids running around the sanctuary again. I think that's just the bottom line. So we are working on it. Shabbat Shalom to you. Let's go ahead and unmute so we can wish one another a Shabbat Shalom. I hope it is a wonderful day of rest for you.
Shabbat Shalom.
That's what it was. Pride.
Shalom. Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bless everybody.
Ruth, Shabbat Shalom to you. I hear you. Mike, hello. Shabbat Shalom.
Service.
Shalom.
Oh, puppy.
I wish I could share some challah with you, but I can't quite make it there. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Happy Pride Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. I love the Pride Challah.
Oh, there's a birthday.
Hi, Bitsy.
Oh, there's Jenny.
There's Chet.
Wait for the seat to get cold.
Who's the choir director or at North Central? Shabbat
Shalom,
everybody.
This would be the right time to do a Shabbat service where not only do you get to wear nothing but you don't have to wear shoes to the service, but also where you could bring your pets. I think next week, if you have a pet, you got to bring your pet.
Rabbi, did you
do
have a
that?
time?
Well, buddy.
We'll see if I can get my cat to do anything.
Lainey,
Yeah,
is that you?
Right.
Hi, Lainey. It was so fun to run into you on the trail the other day.
What?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Jennifer.
Shabbat Shalom, Chet.
Shabbat Shalom for my old
Shalom. I will say
Shabbat Shalom, Matthew.
I was the recipient of a cinnamon sugar Krichiver challah.
Ah, yes.
And I do have a young man who ate nearly the whole thing. So thank you. And Shabbat Shalom.
That's why you need two challahs. One
Right?
to eat as soon as it comes out of
One
the
for
oven, and the
Benjamin.
other. That's right. I look forward to seeing those of you who want to study with us in the morning. I'll be leading that.
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom to you all. We'll go ahead and sign off. I hope that you've had a wonderful day.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for a beautiful service.
Shabbat Shalom.